Welcome to Active Stretching for Everybody. In this video, I'm going to show you how to stretch hamstrings using active stretching. There are three muscles that make up the hamstring group. All of them cross two different joints, the hip joint and the knee joint. And just like the quadriceps, the hamstrings do two separate actions. And because of that, we're going to do two separate stretches to address all of the fibers of the hamstring muscles. I'm going to show you two basic stretches, and then I'll show you some variations of these stretches so that we stretch every fiber of those three muscles. Here on Slim, I've shown you how the three muscles are arranged. All three hamstring muscles attach here at the bottom of the pelvis. We have the pelvis here, the bowl up above here, and a smaller bowl down below here. On the bottom here of this right side of Slim, we have what's known as the sits bone. That's where, as I'm sitting here on this stool, that's the bone that is resting on the surface, the seat. Two of the hamstrings come down and attach on the inside of the upper part of the lower leg. The third hamstring, the biceps femoris, comes down and attaches on the outside of the upper part of the lower leg. So together they do, as I said before, they do two separate actions. And because of that, we'll do two separate stretches. Let me demonstrate how these muscles work with Mini Slim here. The quadriceps are in the front of the leg. The hamstrings pull the leg, the lower leg, back into flexion. The quadriceps straighten that. The hamstrings are attached up here on the sits bone, and they take the leg back like this. The quadricep, one quadricep, and the iliacus and psoas take the knee or the leg in that position. So the leg goes front and back at the hip joint, and it goes into flexion and extension down to neutral with the hamstrings working and the quadriceps working. So that's what we're going to work with. And we're going to do stretches that fairly well mimic these actions that I just showed you with Mini Slim here. I see runners all the time doing this stretch. They put their leg up on something and then they lean forward and they try to grab their foot and pull forward. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to even demonstrate it the full way because it's an extremely dangerous stretch to do. And I'll tell you why. First, it's a static stretch. It's a stretch that doesn't move anything, and what I've told you before in my other videos is that the reason that active stretching works is because it's active. You move to create the stretch because your brain is going to tell the muscle to stop working, to stop being tight. And remember that a tight muscle is a working muscle. If your muscle is tight, it's working. And when you're not actually using it to do something such as running or walking or jumping or climbing stairs, there's no reason for it to be working, and you're just wasting energy. And you're tiring that muscle and not allowing it to live up to its full potential. So that's the first thing. The stretch that I demonstrated you with the leg out and reaching forward, that is a static stretch. We're going to do all of our stretches as active stretches. Second, if we look at Slim here, we see that he has an S shape to his spine. There's a curve that goes in here, out here, and then back in again, creating an S. If you notice, the bottom part of his spine is curved forward. If you take a stretch, and for example, I see people trying to touch their toes. They lean over with their legs locked and try to touch the floor, or they try to touch their toes. So if you are trying to reverse this curve, which is what you do if you curl forward, as I see runners doing, if you curl forward, you are reversing this curve, which is the natural way that your body is to be. This is the natural way those vertebrae are to fit together. As soon as you reverse that, you are pinching the discs in the front of the vertebrae and you're going to pop them out the back. It's the best way I know to injure your back and have disc problems such as bulging or herniated discs, slip discs. All of those things will create excruciating pain, sometimes requiring surgery. So it's not something that I want you to do. We've all seen accomplished yogis and contortionists lean forward and place their head between their legs so that they are all the way down. Most of us are not going to do that. And the reason that they're doing that is they are keeping their back totally straight. All of the bend is happening at the hips. So if you try to touch your toes, if you do this and bend here, that's dangerous. If you keep that straight and keep your head straight and go straight down, then you're not going to hurt yourself. In my class, we do what I call the flip-top squat, which is this stretch, but we do it with bent knees so that we're not putting the stress onto our back. Because what happens is we see in pictures and drawings of the muscles, and they look like individual muscles. They start here, they get bigger, they have a belly, and then they attach down here. That's only for an understanding of the muscles. Muscles really aren't like that. They are continuous throughout the entire body. One muscle attaches at a place on a bone, another muscle attaches on the same place. So that if the first muscle is tight, that tension, that tightness is going to transfer to the second muscle that's attached to the same place. If we look at the back of our body, the muscles that start at the tips of our toes connect and reconnect to other muscles and more muscles and other muscles right up our thigh, or right up our calf, up our thigh, over our hip, low back, middle back, upper back, neck, and the base of the skull, and up to the top of the skull. All of that is continuous. So if we do a stretch like this, what we are trying to do is stretch everything, literally, from the tips of your toes to the top of your head. The body just doesn't work that way. The muscles absolutely do not stretch that way. Plus, you are not giving the muscles, particularly in this case, we're trying to stretch the hamstrings, you're not giving them any message whatsoever to stop working, let go, don't continue to be tight. Because what's happening is you're stretching everything at once, you're not doing anything actively, so the brain doesn't give that message. What you're doing is using time and force to try to make something happen that isn't going to happen because it physically can't. Your muscles don't work that way. So I'm going to show you how we will do the stretches. And for the hamstrings, we need a rope to assist. This is a nice, flexible, lightweight rope. It's approximately a 1/2 inch thick. They come in different sizes, but this is how we're going to do the stretch. You're going to lie on your back. I'm going to stretch my right leg first. So to do that, to stabilize my pelvis and to save my back, I'm going to bend my left knee, place my left foot on the floor. I'm going to put my rope on my right foot. I'm going to put the rope, both ends, reaching as close to my foot as I can with my hand in my left hand. I'm going to use my hip flexors here in the flex to bring my leg up. Notice I didn't use the rope to bring my leg up. The leg always comes up using your hip flexors. Then at the end, you can give a gentle assist. And so with this is just guiding the rope. With this hand, it's going to come up, and I'm going to bring my right hand up. I'm going to give an assist. And the important thing is that I want to keep my leg as straight as possible. Remember, the hamstrings are attaching down here and up here. So if my leg is bent, I'm not getting a stretch in here really. The more force I can use to keep this leg straight, which means I have to contract my quadriceps. And the harder you contract your quadriceps, the greater the message will be to the hamstrings, the message given by the brain, to let go, because the quadriceps and also the hip flexors are working right now. So the stretch looks like this. You're going to exhale, hold a second and a half with your assist, and then go back to neutral with an inhale. So it's exhale, leg comes up, assist, hold a second and a half, and inhale down. So it's exhale up, give an assist, inhale down. So right now we're stretching the fibers on the upper part of the leg that attach close to the pelvis. The second stretch we're going to do is we're going to do this stretch, bring our leg up as far as it'll go, and lock our thigh in position. I'm going to use my right hand that used to be assisting with the rope. I've wrapped the rope around my fist here to make it easier to use and make it efficient. I'm going to rest my elbow on the table here. I'm going to put my hand on my thigh, and now I'm going to target the muscles, the fibers of the hamstrings that are here at the knee joint. So it looks like this. Exhale, foot comes up, and assist. Inhale down, exhale up, assist, hold a second and a half, and back down again. I want to keep my knee as close to my chest as possible, and if that means bringing it up here and then going away a little bit more, because I want to do the stretch with a full lower leg extension so that it locks out at the knee. And I can press on my thigh here to get to there. And I'm not forcing it, but I'm getting a really good stretch. Now, I could get more of a stretch if I brought my toes back, but then I'd be stretching calf muscles. I don't want to do that right now. That's a separate stretch. That's not going to help my hamstrings right now. Okay, those are the two basic stretches. The third stretch is a variation of the straight leg stretch. So I'm going to come up a few times with the straight leg. I'm going to keep my leg as straight as it can go. And then I'm going to take my leg out to the side, leading with my toes, about 20 degrees maybe, just beyond my right shoulder. And now I'm stretching the inside two hamstring muscles. And then if I go to the opposite shoulder, to my left shoulder, again leading with my toes, I'm stretching the one single outside hamstring muscle, the biceps femoris. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm leading with my toes, and then I'm going to come straight up again. And to do the other leg, I'm going to put the rope on my left foot. My right foot is going to rest on the floor with my right knee bent. I'm going to reach down and have my hand as close to my foot as possible on the rope. I'm going to leave this hand free to do my assist. I'm going to keep my leg as straight as I can. Hold a second and a half, inhale down. Next one, I'm going to bring my leg up and hold it there, lock my thigh in position, flex and extend my lower leg, assist with the rope at the end. Exhale up, assist, inhale down. Exhale up, assist, hold a second and a half, inhale down. Next one, I'm going to lock my leg straight and go back to the straight leg stretches. Keep those quadriceps good and tight. Use your hip flexors to get up there, but keep your quadriceps tight so that the brain is telling your hamstrings, let go. You don't need to be working now. The quadriceps are working now. And go out to the side, leading with your toes. And to the opposite shoulder, leading with the toes again. One more of these, and then straight up again. And those are the hamstring stretches. Those are 4 of the different hamstring stretches. I told you I was going to show you 5. So let me show you the fifth. I'm going to put my rope aside. This is one you can actually do in bed in the morning when you get up. And this will primarily only address the fibers here close to the knee. And the way we're going to do this, which is different than most times when we're doing active stretching, but we're going to do both legs at the same time. Same as we did with the Da Vinci stretch. I'm going to bring my knees up to my chest, clasp my hands behind my thighs, exhale and straighten my legs. And notice what my knees are doing. They're at my chest, but as I straighten my legs, they're going away from my chest. And I'm pulling with my arms as hard as I can to resist them. So right here where my fingers are touching on the back of my legs is where the hamstring tendons, the part of the muscle that attaches to the bone, I can feel them popping up as I straighten my leg. So I'm doing the same thing. Exhale up, hold a second and a half, and inhale down. And those are hamstrings. So that gives you 5 different stretches for the hamstring muscles. And by doing all of those 5 different stretches, but particularly the first 4, you're going to address all of the muscle fibers of your hamstring muscles. And you're not going to do that if you do this. I'd like to end by talking briefly about why hamstring muscles get tight and what we can do about it. Hamstring muscles get tight, and when they get tight, we are being set up for injury. One of the main reasons that hamstring muscles get tight for all of us is we all sit too much. In ancient cultures, this was not the case. In ancient cultures, they didn't have chairs or stools. They squatted. And when they squatted all the way down. They squatted so that their butt hit their heel and their foot was flat on the floor. I don't know if you can see that, but my feet are flat on the floor. What this means is that the muscles of my feet, my lower leg, my upper leg, my hip, and my low back are all in a stretch right now. So that when I get up and go to neutral, this is in the neutral position, those muscles now have gone through a full range of motion. If we're sitting in a chair, look what position we are in. Our hip joint is at a right angle, very different from this straight position, which is neutral, and our knee position is also at a right angle. So what that means is that the hamstrings, because they are not on a stretch at all, spending many hours sitting in a chair like this, begin to think that that is what is normal. This is normal. This is not normal. But the muscles start to think that the shortened position is normal. So that when you stand up and you start to run and you start activating that muscle, it is confused because it is not doing what it's normally doing, what it thinks is normal. So that's one of the major reasons why when we're doing the stretching, you always want to go all the way back to neutral and then into your full stretch and then all the way back to neutral again. And incidentally, you can do a hamstring stretch without the rope, but it's not quite as good. The rope gives you more leverage because you're going up to your toes. But it is possible to do that. We already did that with the double legs, but you can do the straight leg stretch as well, using just your hands. So whatever it is that you do, that you spend a lot of time sitting, whether it's driving, sitting on a chair at your computer, watching television, get up, move. My suggestion is that you move, you get up out of that chair position where you have that right, double right angle of your hip and knee joints. Get up, walk around, but even if you just stand up, walk around your chair and sit back down again. What you have done is you have broken that memory force on the muscles that says that shortened position of the seated position is not right. It is not normal. You have to remind them. What this active stretching does also is exactly that. It reminds the muscles this is not normal when you're in the sitting position. You have to remember that that's not the way you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be like this. You stand up, you go back to there, and then you do some stretches, hopefully. Hopefully you do these hamstring stretches that I just showed you. And remind the muscles again. Remember that you teach muscles what to do through their muscle memory by doing repetition. That's how you learned to walk. When you were a baby, you crawled, then you stood up, and one by one you tried to take one foot before the other. You didn't really know how to do that, but your brain had to figure that out. And it figured it out by practice. And that's what practice is all about, whether you're practicing for the piano or for the baseball team or shooting hoops or dancing or whatever. The practice, the repetition, and that's what practice is. It's repetition. And what that does, it reinforces the memory and the pathways from the brain to the muscles. So that's what this is all about. I hope that this has been helpful for you. If you have hamstring problems, view them in a new way, hopefully, if you weren't already familiar with this kind of stretching, and see if it will help you. I ask that you like this video if it was helpful for you. Press the subscribe button if you would like to know about what other videos I've presented here, that I've offered here. And if you subscribe, you can also then click on the bell, which will notify you when a new video is released by me on my channel here. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been helpful for you, and keep stretching.